I tell people it's two types of lawyers that like to prevent fires and lawyers that like to fight fires. I like to help you prevent a fire because it's going to cost you way more to fight the fires. What we cannot do is assume everybody know us because we filed the LLC and we have a social media handle. Even if you have 1 million followers on social media, it can be somebody else, someplace else with another 1 million followers, and they don't even intersect with each other. They don't even know you. If you're going to embark on this journey called entrepreneurship, one thing you have to be great at and have a great skill of is being creative about how you raise capital. When people start questioning the ownership, and saying it's expensive, that's relative to what actually you're acquiring. Ownership. And when you have ownership, you have power. So people think, oh, I can file an application myself. I can get it, but do it hold up if we gotta go to court for it.
Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs that are killing it in their industry. I'm super excited today. I told you guys I only bring you people who are making an impact in my business and helping me elevate and grow. And I have somebody here that's helping me protect my brand. So Rosezena, welcome to Access Granted, the business lawyer, the biz lawyer.
Yes.
Welcome to Access Granted. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I'm happy I finally made it. I know. It's been a minute
You've
trying
been
to get
busy.
me here.
You got the trademark tea. You got all these amazing
Yeah.
things that you are doing. You're speaking at big events, but most importantly, you're making an impact and helping entrepreneurs. And that's what I love about
And
you,
so are you.
the most. Thank you.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you so much. You as well.
Yeah.
Can we talk about, who is Rosezena? How did you get started? And then we're going to give them some game on how to protect their business.
Yeah, so I'm just a little girl from the west side of Chicago that knew I wanted to be a lawyer since I was 5 years old, and just was determined to follow and see my dreams throughout. Finished law school at the time. My son was 11, my daughter was 7, and I just had a newborn baby, and graduated the bar, graduated law school, took the bar, passed the first time, and had no job offers. And so being that I had no job offers, I studied intellectual property law in undergrad and in law school. I was on law review for intellectual property law. So I just knew I was going to get a nice job offer, because in law school, it's kind of like being drafted into the pros. They'll make job offers to you even before finishing and graduating and taking a bar. And in my law review journal that I was on, I was 14 board members, and 3 of us were minorities, and we were the 3 who didn't have any job offers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but after passing the bar the very first time, I encountered a professor, and he told me, you will go a long way serving the underserved. And I was like, yeah, but I really want to do what I want to do. I don't want to do criminal law or family law. When he said that, that's what I thought. He was like, no, who's underserved in the practice area you want to practice in? And I was like, small business owners? He said, you'll go a long way serving them. And I would tell you, it wasn't that day that entrepreneurship was on me, but that was the day the seed was planted. And that was right after taking the bar exam and finding out I passed. But eventually, I had no choice because I had applied to over 150 jobs, no callbacks. Then I even started applying for paralegal jobs because I was a paralegal before even going to law school. Still, no job. At that point, they saying I'm overqualified, right? Mm-hmm. So I just started my practice. But I always say now, looking back, God had a better plan for me, and people's rejection is his protection, because now my law firm actually outrank a lot of those employers that I applied to work for, including my dream job. The firm is actually ranked now number 41 out of over 28,000 trademark law firms in the country. Yes, thank you.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's so huge. And I love your story because, most of the time, when, people, they have kids and, they think that, certain things are out of reach, and you kept going. Like even with, more than one kid and, just having a new baby, you graduated law school, passed the bar the first time, but you created your own opportunity. Like when somebody told you no, you no wasn't, the ending point for you. You went and opened your own door or built your own house.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say open your own door. So I love that about you. But I want to dive in because I think Trademark is literally the number one thing mistake that I think entrepreneurs make when it comes to
Mhm,
starting a business. Like you
mhm,
see online all the time, get the LLC, but what
mhm.
about protecting the
Yeah.
brand, protecting the business? So what is a trademark and how do I really go after it and how does it protect me or protect my brand?
Yeah, for sure. And that's a really good question because a trademark is a source identifier for consumers to relate back to where a product or service come from. So essentially, you think it's there really to protect the owner and the business, but it's really there to protect the consumer so they are aware of what they're buying. But it's so many benefits for the business owner and the owner to make sure that they secure their brands via trademark law. And I always ask people, would you build a house on land you don't own? And everyone always says no. Like, would you do that?
No, not at all.
Right. And so it's like, so if we wouldn't do that, why would we go and start a business and build a brand and we haven't even done the research on a name first? We haven't even secured the name first, right? And so trademarking, like filing your application, that kind of gives you that solidification that, okay, I am claiming rights to this name. I'm putting everyone on notice in the US that this is the name that I am acquiring. And if it is approved and it's registered, that registration becomes yours. And now you have ownership to that brand name, which gives you the power to now leverage your brand to do licensing deals or heck, not even a license deal, but also stop other people from infringing on your brand if that's what they're going to do with it.
That's good. So getting an LLC is just it gives me the name on a state level,
Well,
right?
so and I really like, as entrepreneurs that we do educate ourselves, right?
Right?
On the different types of legal vehicles, right? And so entity formation and entity incorporation is a legal vehicle, right? And I know we all talk about it on Instagram and we all talk about LLCs, but the LLC might even not be the best entity
For
type
you.
for you,
Yeah.
right? You may need a corporation or you may be entering into some type of partnership or something. So it just really depends on, I always say the law is not a one size fit all garment. And so, but understanding, okay, but what is the point of actually incorporating my business, whether it's a LLC or it's a corporation? Well, entity formation, the purpose of it is to shield us, the individual, from any legal liability that can arise out of the business and also protect you from some debtors or creditors and things like that as well. And it also give you some tax benefits. But
Mm.
nowhere under the law does it says because you have a LLC or a corporation under a particular state that you now have exclusive ownership rights to the name, because you could actually incorporate that business, let's say in the state of Florida. But if somebody owned a trademark in California and the state of Florida said, yes, you could have this LLC or yes, you could have this corporation in the state of Florida, someone in California can still stop you from using that name because they own a trademark. So
Mm.
that's the difference of it. So so incorporation shield the individual owner for legal liability, right? And for tax purposes and benefits. But the trademark is going to give you ownership to the brand and give you the power to reach across state lines and govern that brand and restrict and enforce your rights on people who are infringing on that
I
rights.
love that. Thank you for breaking that down
Mhm.
that way. You break it down to where anybody can understand it, and I love that about you.
Serving the
So
underserved.
yes,
Yes.
the
Go
seed that
on.
was planted
Yeah.
very early. So I, one of the common things that I hear, especially when it comes to like writing grants and
Mhm.
getting access to grant funding, is people say, "I don't want to share my ideas because I'm afraid that somebody's going to steal it."
Mhm.
So I guess that's when protecting the brand and protecting the vision
Yeah.
comes into place. When should I trademark? When should I actually go out and trademark and protect my business and my brand?
So I would tell people again, going back to the land and the house, right? Before you actually are going to invest, right, in the actual building of the brand and the business or building of the house, you're gonna do a title search. You're gonna get a deed to the land and record your deed, right? So that's what you kind of want to do. You at least want to have the research done on the brand name. Then you want to either file it as an intent to use or actually file the application and launch the brand, together. So I tell people you got to do it before you put it out there. Because what happens is once you put it out there, if somebody else was using it or it was somebody else's idea, they might see you put it out there and it's like, oh, that person stole my idea. Let me go trademark it or let me go file it, right? Or it could be on the flip side where they be like, oh, I like that. That's a really nice name. Let me go trademark it because they haven't done it, right? That's what happened to, the guy, well, he's transitioning where he said very cute, very demure, very
Mhm.
mindful, right? And it went viral. Everyone was saying it. Everyone loved him on TikTok, and someone went and filed the trademark for him. And then also, so I talk, I give people the trademark tea and I use popular culture so people can see real world examples of how it can happen to them. And just recently, a young lady, she accused Diddy's daughters, the twins, of stealing her brand. And the thing is, what we cannot do is assume everybody know us because we filed the LLC and we have a social media handle. Especially like even if you have a million followers on social media, it can be somebody else, someplace else with another million followers, and they don't even intersect with each other. They don't even know you. And so this particular brand, it was called 1221. And the young lady, she was very upset because, of course, Diddy daughters announced that they were coming out with a fashion line called 1221 because they're twins, 21, right? And, to accuse them of stealing your brand, that's kind of like could be misleading because the twins probably didn't know anything about you. Now, I don't know the twins personally. I'm not taking up for them, but their birthday is 1221.
Mm.
So is it possible that they just said, let's create a brand and call it 1221 since that's something we definitely have in common because it's our birthday,
We're twins.
So, but what the twins did do, they filed the application before they even announced and launched the brand, right? And if the young lady had did something like that, when you file your trademark with the USPTO, under the law, you have now put everyone on actual notice. Even if they check it or not, it's there. It's a free website. Anybody can check it. So now, by you just filing your application, you put people on actual notice that you're claiming rights to these trademarks.
So that's so good, so powerful. So I
Mm-hmm.
want to dive into trademark tea, but I have a question first. So
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people who want to start a business,
Mm-hmm.
and but they just don't have the money
The
and the
money.
funding.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think one of the biggest things and why the trademark piece is overlooked
Mm-hmm.
is because they feel like they don't have the money or funding
Yeah.
to make it happen. How important is it to incorporate this in your budget from the beginning
Yeah.
so that, and then how do we compete with, the celebrities? I think there was another
Mm.
situation I heard you discuss before with maybe Kim K or something like that.
Always something with
So
her.
if I'm a
Yes.
small business owner
Yeah.
and, I'm living paycheck to paycheck and I start my business, how important is it for me to trademark my business? But I just don't have the money to make it happen right
And
now.
that's a really good question. Of course, I get asked that all the time. And what I tell people, because not only am I a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur too. Like I
Mhm.
got to run payroll every 15th and the 30th of the month. So I get it and I understand. But going into entrepreneurship, you have to have the mentality that I have to make sure that I am laying the foundation solid enough. And I can't act from the perspective of where I'm at now, but I have to protect and secure my business based on where I'm trying to go in the future. And what I tell people is if you're going to embark on this journey called entrepreneurship, one thing you have to be great at and have a great skill of is being creative about how you raise capital,
Mm.
right? And so even if that is doing a just friends and family only sale, right? Or coming to a Coach K like, hey, I have an idea, I have a business. What business grants can I tap into where I can show them that I want to launch a business and can they help me fund the launching of the business, right? Because sometimes we do as business owners or entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, we get excited and we just want it to be out there and we just want to jump out there. But then and another thing I would say is too, it's all about perspective, right? Because people say, oh my God, trademarks is so expensive. Like I'll think about that down the line right now. Of course, I know my purpose here. We're here to serve the underserved. So we keep our rates affordable, and I say accessible,
Very.
right? It's 15.97. The price is going up soon because we got to continue to run a business. But my counterparts charge almost 2,500 for one trademark, right? And which is justifiable because a lot of work goes into it, and a filing fee alone is $350 with the government. But what I would say is that you have to be able to raise the capital to fund these things and pay for these things, because if you don't do it on the front end, it's going to cost you so much money on the back end. I tell people it's two types of lawyers that like to prevent fires and lawyers that like to fight fires. I like to help you prevent a fire because it's going to cost you way more to fight the fire. So think about this. If you didn't file the trademark, you launched the business, you got product, you got marketing material that you already invested money in, because that stuff costs too, right? And now somebody has filed the trademark application. You've been using it first, so you have prior use. So you now have the right to oppose their trademark. But guess what? To even oppose the trademark, we charge $3,600. The filing fee is $600. It's double. And now, if we can't negotiate with them or they don't go away in the first 60 days, you have to now pay a monthly retainer of $1,500 a month, because now we're before what's called the Trademark Trial and Appeal Board, the TTAB, where we're in an actual trial and we got pre-trial discovery. We're
Wow.
going through these things. So again, we fighting that fire now, and
Mhm.
it costs you more. So it makes sense. Before you do anything, you want to secure your brand first, right?
Yeah.
Again, before we build that house, we're going to go make sure the land is clear, because we don't want to build the house only for the landowner to come tear it down.
That's so powerful. So
Hmm.
powerful. I want to dive into some trademark tea. You
Yes.
you always give good tea and it make me lean in. Like, wait, that happened?
Hmm.
What are some scenarios or some things that you have seen happen where, maybe brands or business owners put some things out there and it just wasn't protected or it should have been?
Oh my God, it just happened. So one of my favorite artists is Chris Brown. He just got hit with a cease and desist letter for Breezy Bowl, right? He's been on tour since March, and apparently some Florida company, they've been doing like a swim model contest or something called Breezy Bowl. But the thing is, like, who's on Chris' team where they allow a whole tour to be launched and didn't do the trademark? Look at Beyonce. Look at Queen Bee, Chris, right? Cowboy Carter Renaissance tour, they going to the trademark office before they even launch thing. Now, people call Kanye crazy, but one thing Kanye know about is USPTO.gov, okay? Before he came to Georgia and did the listening party, you remember that in the Mercedes-Benz with Donda, that trademark was already filed with his mom. That was filed long before that. And then even with, his situation with Adidas or whatever, that was, they didn't want to fire Kanye because they knew he owned the name. And Kanye knew he owned the name. He knew, I hold the chess piece in this. I own the power of this. And I
Powerful.
promise you, like, it gives you so much power. It empowers you because you have ownership. And that's the end of the day. And so when people start questioning the ownership, like, and saying it's expensive, that's relative to what actually you're acquiring. Ownership. And when you have ownership, you have power.
That's good. So powerful. So, real quick, I want to know, in entrepreneurs, they always want to take the shortcut. They're like, oh, I can just go do it myself, or, oh,
Mhm.
I can watch this online and figure it out. And I think a lot of us make mistakes trying to do it on our own. Why should I connect with an actual attorney to help me on this journey and make sure that it's done the right way?
And a lot of people, a fourth, so we filed over 6,000 applications. A fourth of them have tried to do it themselves first and had to come hire us. Another fourth, they go to the internet companies like I ain't gonna say their names, but they go there, and it's no real counsel and advisement and things like that. I actually just talked to someone, and she told me she paid someone on $5 or $100, and they did it completely wrong,
Wow.
like all wrong, right? So now she has to come where? To us, hire us, and now pay us. And now it's like she's paying almost double now because somebody did it so wrong in the first place. And then, two, you got to think about now, okay, if this trademark was filed last year, but now we got to file it properly, and it's this year. Now you got to think about all the other trademarks that were filed in front of you now and what type of priority they're going to have and if the application behind them will be refused. So we have strategies to kind of help people and clean up messes and things like that. But and someone just like reposted one of my stories and was like, I did all my trademarks myself. Y'all don't need a lawyer and this and that. And it be the same people and then you stand up and you go look at their trademark and they filed their trademark, let's say, in a wrong class where they think they're doing it for clothes and they filed to protect the clothing line, which is a clothesline, I'm sorry, which is like the things we used to hang up and, hang our clothes out to dry with. And they thought they now have it for their apparel. So it's like, it's so important. And one thing people think because it's accessible via the uspto.gov, it's easy, right? But it's still a legal process. It's still a process with the government. And once they finally review your application, the first thing they're going to tell you, because they know if you did it by yourself, they're going to tell you they advise you to hire an attorney because the trademark examiners that's reviewing your application, they're attorneys. They're licensed attorneys. And under the law, they can't advise you because you're not their client. The government is their client, which in turn, they represent the people. So they're there to protect the people. So the only advice they can give you is go hire an attorney. And so then you come hire us. And a lot of people think, okay, well, I filed the application. Ain't it a way we could just amend it or file an amendment? Or since I put it in the wrong class, can I just file an amendment to it? No, we have to file it all over again. And you waited now 6 to 8 months for somebody to tell you, you got it wrong. You did it wrong. Or you get it registered. You actually did everything that needed to be done so that you actually can gain registration. But now guess what? You have someone infringing on your brand. Let's say LeBron James, right? True story. And now you're saying, well, LeBron is infringing on my trademark. I filed it myself, but so there's 45 different classes under trademark law.
Really?
So a lot of times when people file trademark applications, they don't want to pay because every class you have to pay the filing fee. They don't want to pay the filing fee, right? Because so then what the examiner will come back and say is, okay, you need to either pay the additional cost for each filing fee or you need to pick one or hire a lawyer. So then they'll pick one and they'll try to cram, say for instance, there's one situation where the person did, or the entity, they did it themselves. It was for charitable services. It looked like they were selling T-shirts to raise funds and for entertainment and education service. So they crammed 3 different things in there. So then you have LeBron James who comes and he filed a trademark that could look like it's confusingly similar, but he files it in all the other classes around you. Because see, certain trademarks can coexist in the marketplace. That's why we have Dove Chocolate, Dove Soap, Mac Makeup, Mac Computer, Delta Airline, Delta Faucet, Pandora Jewelry, Pandora Music. So LeBron James has now filed for T-shirts. He has filed for entertainment service. He paid all the filing fees and the government actually approved his trademark. But now you oh no. He stole my brand. He got the brand from me. He's infringing on my trademark. I want to sue for $33 million, right? But now here's the thing. Does your registration support your $33 million claim? So people think, oh, I can file an application myself. I can get it, but do it hold up if we got to go to court for it. So when you hire an attorney, we're not just filing an application to file an application. We're filing an application to make sure that your business and your brand is covered. In the event we have to enforce these rights.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to give you a little trademark tea. So a couple of years ago, I watched 2 young ladies. They were going back and forth on social media. One was going hard. She was picking at another young lady. Second young lady, she didn't say anything. She just kind of sat back and watched. So this young lady, they both are business owners. One's like, I got this multi-million-dollar brand, da-da-da-da-da, but she's still picking at her. The one who didn't say anything went online, purchased her trademark, and then she went and noticed she didn't even have a legal entity set up and purchased her legal entity in her state as well. Messy, right? But it just goes back to not protecting your brand, not protecting your...
And I will tell you, we have a lot of cases. We get cases like that where it's usually either ex-partner ex-business partner, ex-spouse, or just somebody you just got into it with on Instagram because they ain't like your comment, right? Where they will actually look and see if you own your name.
Hmm.
And the fact that you don't own your name, they will file a trademark. But here's the thing, it's really committing fraud on the federal government because under
Mm,
the declaration, when you file the application, it says that you are attesting that you don't know anyone else operating under this name.
that's
But
good.
here's also the thing, once you file a trademark, and if the government approves it, it goes to what's called publication for opposition, which allows anyone in the public 30 days to oppose it. So here is where, so if an ex-spouse say file your trademark because they're trying, not, I wouldn't say spouse, like boyfriend,
Yeah.
right? Or
Hmm.
girlfriend, not married, right? Or ex-business partner, and they really didn't have ties to your business particularly. If they file that, you can now oppose that application and argue that they have committed fraud on the federal government, that you are the first user, you are the actual user. So you can dispute that application. But guess
Good.
what? It's going to cost you money to do that now, right? And so you don't even want to give somebody that leverage or that power to be like, because I don't know about that situation you're talking about, but I know sometimes I done got a lot of business from people arguing on Instagram and somebody go file a trademark. And what they'll come and say is, B, I own you now. I own your name. Come buy your name from me. And even in that process, we had somebody tell my client, you gonna either pay me for your trademark or you gonna pay your lawyer to fight it and get it back from me.
That's so
Like,
terrible.
why give people that power
Power.
when you could take the initiative to be proactive about securing what's yours,
Hmm.
right? Because that trust, oh, Coach K, so many people, they do that. They'll try to buy
It's so
your domain
heartbreaking.
name, they'll try to buy your trademark, all of that stuff. And they're not educated. And then
Hmm.
they go hire some lawyer that has no education in trademark law, right? Because I'm about to tear them up because you committing fraud on the federal government. So do we really want to go down this? And once I get done educating them and their lawyer on the law, they go away. But it's like now you got to pay
Pay
me
me
more money to do
to
that when
fight
you
it.
could have just paid me up front to file a trademark and we ain't got to deal with these bozos.
It's the from the beginning protecting your
Yeah.
brand and protecting your image from the beginning. This has been amazing.
Yes.
But you teach all of this, and you have a service where you do it for entrepreneurs. So we make sure it's done the correct way,
Exactly.
and then you actually teach the importance of this. But you have trademark tea, correct? Let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
so we have a full service trademark law firm. So we don't teach people how to do their own trademark. I'm a lawyer. So I
Okay.
don't believe in, teaching non-lawyers how to practice law. But what I do teach is how to actually be educated, right?
Right.
Like why this is important, why you need to secure it, and then how you maintain it, how you leverage for licenses and things like that. And then what I teach is how you enforce your rights as well. But you're right, I do have a show. It's called Trademark Tea with the Biz Lawyer. And we just shot 8 episodes. We just released our season finale. And it's a
Amazing.
talk show for entrepreneurs. It's on IHQ Network where people can go and check it out. And we're going into our second season, but it's a great episode because I have clients on there like Yandy Harris Smith. I have Tamika Scott from Escape. I have Derek Hayes, owner of Dave's Cheesesteak. And me and Derek, we talked about not only trademarks, but why it's important he did franchising
Mm.
and how he was able to leverage his business to get into the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and get into these stadiums in Florida and how he went from being in a 700 square gas station like to this food trucks to now franchising a business. But also too, we talked about like why it's important to franchise versus trying to just do a license deal, when it comes to your restaurant. Because again, entrepreneurs, we cannot cut corners, right? We want to be properly advised because franchising is really sticky. There's a case in California where they tried to like not do what was needed to be done. And the California court ended up pulling these people in jail,
Wow.
right? Because they didn't do it properly. And so just kind of like when people want to call their employees 1099 workers and not
Hmm.
give them a W-2 and things like that. And the IRS can penalize you for misclassifying an employee as an independent contractor.
Hmm.
It's the same thing when it comes down to franchising versus licensing. And so it's an educational show. And it comes with a lot of good wealth and knowledge. And I really encourage people to just check it out. Watch it and check it out.
Oh, I love it, you
Yeah.
guys. This has been another amazing episode of Access Granted. Rosina, do you have anything that you want to leave the audience with? Any last pieces of gem or last pieces of advice? And of course, tell them how they can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for having me again. I'm proud of you and
Thank
your
you.
growth and helping the people get the money, right? So, Coach K is going to help you get the money so I can help you secure the brand. And I just say follow me on Instagram at the Biz Lawyer. And, I appreciate everyone who probably took something from this. And feel free to send me a DM and reference Coach K in this podcast at Access Granted so that you guys, if you have any questions for me, I love to help.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share this with 3 other entrepreneurs who need help securing the brand.